Hello, this is how to install FreeBSD 14.3 on a QEMU VM virtual machine, including KDE Plasma 6 as the desktop. The official FreeBSD website, freebsd.org. I'm selecting the production release 14.3. These are the release notes. We want AMD 64. And I'm going to use this one, the disk1.iso file. Says that the release ISO images can be downloaded from this place. I can sort by file size descending. And I want this one, the AMD 64 disk 1 GB. I have already downloaded this file. Let's start the virtualization software Virt Manager. Virtual Machine Manager, File, New Virtual Machine, ISO, Forward. Let's select the ISO file. FreeBSD 14.3 release disk1.iso. I'll select as a virtual machine template a new Linux version, such as Ubuntu latest 2504, forward, 10 gigabytes of random access memory, 14 vCPUs, (250 gigabytes of virtual machine storage. Customize. As name, I want FreeBSD 143. All of the settings are correct, so the newest motherboard, BIOS instead of UEFI. I'll improve the CPU topology. There's just one CPU with 14 cores. The rest of the settings are okay. And FreeBSD fortunately does support VirtIO storage and VirtIO network interface cards, which means that the speed of the virtual machine is going to be perfect. Begin installation. It's allocating the virtual hard disk, booting FreeBSD from the DVD drive. 10 seconds timeout. It's going to boot into the default option, which is what we want. It's going to start the installer by default. Do we want to install? Yes, press enter. The keyboard selection, US, correct. Press enter. Host name, FreeBSD 143. I actually do not want any of the optional sets. So no debug symbols, no 32, no ports, no source, no tests. Okay. I'm going to use UFS for simplicity and maybe also for speed reasons. I want to compile software on this virtual machine. The name of the disk is VTBD0. Entire disk. I'm going to choose GPT GUID partition table. And I'm going to keep the defaults. Press enter again. Enter. It's creating the partition table, formatting, creating partitions, installing the two sets, base.txz and the kernel. And now it asks for the user root a password. I want a network interface card, I want IPv4, I want DHCP. I do not want IPv6. OK, for the DNS settings, to America, page down a number of times, United States of America 49, press OK, easternmost areas, OK, EDT, yes, skip, setting the date and time. I do want SSHD, so the OpenSSH server should be installed and running by default. So the settings in here in services is OK. I do not want any hardening option. Would you like to add users? Yes. Username administrator. I'm keeping the defaults. And in here I must pay attention. I want the user administrator to be part of other groups. Will. SH. I'm just keeping the defaults. Press enter to keep the default options. No empty password, no random password, and I'm going to provide the password for the user administrator. Okay, I do not want another user to be added. And this would be it. Exit apply configuration and exit installer. Okay. I can open a shell inside the new system. No. I can reboot or shut down. Let's go with reboot. Okay, now we should check to see that the DVD-ROM drive is empty, and it is. No more ISO file in here. 10 seconds boot timeout inside the boot loader. Okay. So now we have an installation of FreeBSD 14.3 using the best hardware possible, which means VirtIO storage and VirtIO network interface card inside the application Virt Manager. In here, in the virtual hardware details, inside the tab network interface card and IC, we can find the IPv4 address. Let's copy it. And we can connect to the virtual machine straight using SSH, username administrator. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. Password. And we can probably finish the configuration without using this console, the graphical console spice. At the top of the FreeBSD release announcement page, there's the main menu of the freebsd.org website, documentation, handbook, and you can look at the handbook in three formats: split HTML, so HTML on multiple pages, single HTML, and then there's also the PDF. Let's go for the PDF. The FreeBSD handbook is really good, and you should at least skim it. But if you read it in depth, then that's even better. Okay. There's an introduction, there's how to install the system with many screenshots of the text user interface installer. What we want now is to set up the xorg X server. Let's see where that is defined. We want to install additional packages. We will use binary packages. The command line package manager is pkg. We will run pkg once in order to install the real pkg and the metadata about the available binary package repositories, and then we can start installing using the command line pkg space install. Okay, and then we're at how to configure the X server. I have my wiki page and mariusp.github.io, how to install other operating systems. These are my notes taken from the FreeBSD handbook. Let's see what I do in here. Let's eventually have both of these open at the same time. Okay. So first of all, I want to see if I can perform actions as the user root. Right now I'm logged using the user administrator. So su minus asks for the password of the user root. And I am now the user root. You can see in the command line prompt of the shell sh. So pkg to install pkg correctly says that the package management tool, so pkg is not yet installed. Do you want to fetch and install it? Yes. It's using the quarterly binary package repositories. And now we can start installing packages. I'm going to switch the text user interface shell from sh to bash, and I'm going to use the text user interface text editor Emacs, no X. So let's do all of this command line. Okay, it should install 42 binary packages. Y. MC is Midnight Commander, which is a text user interface file manager, twin pane. As the user root, I'm changing the shell. So change shell -s and then the full path to bash. Bash was installed from binary packages, which get installed into /usr/local, similar to FreeBSD ports. Okay, and we're at this command line package install xorg. Y. 171 binary packages to download and install. Many X libraries. some fonts, Lua, the programming language. And then we will add our current user, which is named administrator, to the local user group video. Okay, let's do that. Next up, I'm going to install all of the Noto fonts. And I'm going to install sudo because I want sudo for development purposes. So package install Noto 2.0. A large number of packages will be installed, 65, and large packages. While the while the Noto Google NoTofu fonts are being installed, let's see how to install KDE. There's a chapter about Xorg, a chapter about Wayland, networking, and then setting up a desktop environment. There's the option KDE Plasma with the package KDE. So pkg install KDE. Before this, we're going to set up sudo. We're going to say that the local user group wheel can become the user root if they provide the password of the current user. Okay, so we run the command line vsudo. We find the part where this line is commented out, the wheel all, page down a number of times. And this is the one. So wheel all without no password. Members of the group wheel can execute any command if they provide a password. I have deleted the first two characters, the command sign and the space. Control XS, Control XC, Control L. Okay. So it says that some of the KDE applications might require a proc fs. I'm not sure if the instructions are still needed or not, but for the desktop environment GNOME, this is needed. These are the instructions. Okay, so let's do that. We're editing /etc/fs tab, appending a final line, this one. Make sure we have a trailing new line, Control XS, Control XC, Control L. We want to mount /proc. And now back to the instructions for KDE. So package install KDE. $552 binary packages to install. A ton of X libraries, Vulkan, Wayland, many Qt 6 and Qt 5 modules, Python modules, many libraries which are needed by the KDE source code. Many of the packages in here come from the KDE community, and the binary package is really small. There's 38 kilobyte binary package, 124 kilobyte binary package. Very small, but very many binary packages, 552. Okay, so we have installed the binary package KDE. There's an alternative if you want to install less packages than what is part of KDE, but in my opinion, you should install KDE in the way that most people install it and the way that's recommended by your operating system. You should not pick and choose, you should not install it your way. At least do install it as the operating system recommends, and then if some applications are extra, you can always uninstall them. Because you will otherwise fight with theming that doesn't work correctly. Maybe you'll have hardware enablement issues. All sorts of problems can arise if you're installing KDE your way. So do not do that. Next up, we need to enable dbus. Okay, then it says that we should run these two sysctl command lines. Let's do that. And then we're at the chapter how to start KDE Plasma. Since I'm not going to use the virtualization software to run KDE Plasma, I actually do not require a desktop manager. So I'm stopping before this chapter start KDE Plasma. Next up, I'll do a few settings for the current user, and then that should be it. So I'm going to exit from the user root. You can run the command line exit or Control D. Now I'm the user administrator. Let me change the shell of the user administrator to bash. Okay, and I'm going to edit the path environment variable, which sometimes doesn't work correctly in my case. I'm just uncommenting the first line that says path equals /sbin :/bin, etc. This also includes tilde/bin. Control X S, Control X C. And this is installing up to KDE Plasma. Next up, we're going to install the xrdp RDP server. So let's reboot first. We can reboot from the virtualization software. The virtual machine is shutting down. Booting from the hard disk. The boot menu, 10 seconds timeout. It's a bit long, should be maximum 2 seconds. The boot sequence, and we can connect via SSH. Up arrow key enter, asks for the password of the user administrator. And now I'm going to follow the instructions on how to set up the remote desktop protocol server xrdp on FreeBSD. Scroll down to the operating system FreeBSD. And these are the instructions. I need to be the user root. Let's see if sudo starts working. And it does. So package install two packages, xrdp and xorg xrdp. It's creating the pair of keys, the public and private key. We're enabling the services, two services. And now we're doing something similar to starting KDE Plasma using xinit, not using a desktop manager. You can see in the handbook where it says that you could install the desktop manager SDDM and then enable it. And as an alternative, you can have a configuration file //.xinitrc with this long content. But we're using the X server that's started by xrdp. So we're going to use another configuration file /startwm.sh. Let's do that. So the text editor, Ctrl+Shift+V. And I'm just pasting this long text. So exec dbus launch exit with x11, ck launch session start plasma x11. I'm adding a trailing new line, Ctrl+XS, Ctrl+XC, Ctrl+L, making the file executable. Optionally, you can install Firefox to have a web browser inside the FreeBSD installation. We could skip this thing. And that's it. The xrdp, xorg xrdp has been installed correctly. Time to reboot another time the virtual machine. Let's connect again using the SSH protocol. It's actually not needed. And now in another terminal on the host operating system, I'm using the Linux operating system Ubuntu 2504. We're going to start a remote desktop protocol client. Go to the end of my wiki page about RDP, where it says that one of the options is the binary package FreeRDP, available on many operating systems. Nowadays, there's also FreeRDP2 and FreeRDP3. This is actually FreeRDP version 2. I'm copying the command line. You can forward the sound from the virtual machine to the host machine. This can be optional. I don't actually need sound from the virtual machine. And then you can also send the home drive of the host machine towards the virtual machine. And I do not need this option either. But the rest of the options I do need. Let's see what it does. It requires an IPv4 address, and that's ending with 176. I can see in the title of the first console tab. I want an initial resolution 1080p, which is the resolution of the monitor. I want the best features possible, which means video, H.264, compression, graphical effects, the best network speed, which is LAN, local area network. And then I want dynamic resolution in order to easily resize KDE Plasma 6 by just resizing the XFreeRDP window. It asks if I want to trust this new certificate. Yes. It asks for the password of the user administrator for the user. And it did not work. Yeah, classic mistake. So I was logged on as the user root in order to run these 3 command lines, but then make sure that you're creating the start wm sh file as the user administrator. Let's fix this. Become super user. Change to the home directory of the user root. We can see the file in the wrong place. So instead of being inside /home/administrator, it's inside /root directory. Let's remove it. Let's not be the user root, Control D. And now let's run this creation of the file ~start_wm.sh again. Emacs, Control Shift V, copy, Control Shift V, trailing new line, Control XS, Control XC, Control L, make it executable. And I'm going to restart the computer. Let's try again. Run the same xFreeRDP command again. And now KDE Plasma 6 is starting for the first time, creating many configuration files inside the home directory. And this is it. We have the correct KDE Plasma 6 on the latest release of FreeBSD 14.3. This is the window of the Remote Desktop Protocol client FreeRDP. We can move it around, we can maximize it, and it's going to tell the KDE Plasma 6 session to resize to the size of the interior of the FreeRDP window, which is a feature that I prefer in remote desktop solutions. Okay, let's see how the KDE Plasma session looks like. Pretty similar to other Linux operating systems. We have installed Emacs from the command line. When view the image viewer, information center, the system settings application, the screenshotting tool, spectacle. There's an extern pre-installed. MPV may be as dependency of an application. PDF viewer Ocular, Midnight Commander we have installed ourselves. As text editor Kate. Dolphin, the file manager, and the App Store, which I'm not sure if it works on FreeBSD, but Discover can also be used for managing KDE components. Okay, as the default web browser, Conqueror, which is an interesting choice. So let's do some configurations in here, and then that should be it. I want a larger mouse cursor. The default one is the default in KDE Plasma, which is Breeze. Size 36. Okay, let's tweak the fonts. So pixel rendering, RGB and full. Windows style fonts. I want edge. I want to remove this effect. Screen edges, nothing to happen if I move the mouse on the top left point of the desktop. Router 15, apply. And we'll need Firefox. And we want to pin in here console. So all applications, or just search for console. Right click and add to favorites. So inside favorites, we should have the text editor Kate. Right click, add to favorites. Console, the file manager, system settings. Okay, so we can easily open console, and in here we can install Firefox. It's doing the equivalent of apt update automatically, so fetching the metadata from the enabled binary package repositories. One package to install. Okay, so inside the KDE Start menu, inside the group for applications internet, we now have the Firefox web browser. It works correctly. I can configure it and use it. And the remote desktop protocol is extremely fast. XRDP works correctly and great on FreeBSD. The FreeRDP client is also really fast. And even YouTube videos inside Firefox, inside the virtual machine, will display correctly. You can see everything is fast and snappy. As the features for the RDP protocol, there's no graphical user interface glitches. Again, it's very fast and snappy. You can resize the FreeRDP window. That will change the resolution in KDE Plasma. And then copy pasting of text works. So I copied the text key authentication from the virtual machine to the host machine. And I'm copying from the host machine the text authentication to the virtual machine. This is the way I install FreeBSD 14.3 inside a virtual machine. My host operating system is Linux. I have in here installed Virt Manager with QEMU with Linux KVM. Everything's really fast. And again, FreeBSD is using Virt IO hard disk and network interface cards, which also improves the virtualization speed. This is it. Thank you.